trailers housed everyone who didn't have their own vans, from tent boys, sound and light technicians, to circus tourists, performers and other employees who worked with the circus for a while and then moved on. Gabi herself had spent a few years of her teens sleeping in one of those bunks, and she knew there was even less privacy in those trailers than the rest of the circus. No wonder everyone here knew everyone else's business. The temporary gates creaked a little as she pushed them open, and she stilled a moment, waiting to see if a caravan door would open for a security check. But when none did, she slipped victoriously out. It wasn't like she was a prisoner here or planning on doing a midnight runner, like many in the industry did when they wanted out, but she still felt a little bit sneaky. Circus folk tended to stick to themselves, and Dante and his family would be worried about what might happen to her late at night, walking the streets of Gladstone Park where they were currently camped. But she'd like to see anyone try anything. Years of training as an aerial performer, not to mention the physical work and heavy lifting involved in other aspects of circus life, meant she was stronger than most men and could easily hold her own if anyone did anything untoward. She'd only planned on going for a short walk, hoping the fresh air would shake the itchiness from her head enough that she could sleep. But she soon found herself passing a pub, and like the music of the Pied Piper luring the children away from the safety of their parents, the sound of tunes and laughter drifting from inside piqued her interest. She had never been in a bar, restaurant or club on her own. At just over 19, she'd only been legal a year, and the few times she'd gone for a meal or a drink, it had usually been with Dante and his parents or other circus performers. Just one drink, Gabi told herself as she stepped across the threshold. Inside was more modern than she'd expected, with funky bronze lamps dropping from the ceiling, and the bar a pearly white with a pattern that reminded her of a waffle cone. There weren't many people here, but that was fine. She wasn't here to socialize. She simply wanted a little time out. An elderly barman with curly grey hair and a scar on his lip gave her a warm smile as she approached the bar and perched herself atop a stool. "What can I get you, love?" Not a big drinker." Gabi stared at the rows of bottles behind the bar. "What do you recommend?" "That depends on why you're drinking. Let me guess. Heartbreak? Celebration?" She shrugged. "I'm exhausted but can't switch my mind off." "Ah, right. Well then, I recommend a Brady's Milk Punch. That'll have you catching Zeds in no time." Gabi had no idea what that was. "Sounds good. Thanks." "Hate to ask, but can you show me your ID? Not that I don't trust you, but the fines are killers if you serve anyone underage." She flashed her driver's license at him. "Long way from home," said the old man, clocking the rural South Australian address. "What brings you to our parts?" "Work," she said, deliberately not specific as she didn't want the questions that would inevitably come if she told him she belonged to a circus. South Australia was where the family stored old equipment and lived during their 1 month off per year. He nodded and began to mix a white concoction in a shaker. He poured the creamy cocktail over ice and was sprinkling something that looked like cinnamon over the top when a shadow fell over her. "Be with you in a moment," said the barman, barely looking up from his handiwork. "No rush. Just wanted to pay for my dinner," replied a deep voice belonging to the shadow. "Evening." It took Gabi a second to realise this last word had been addressed to her. She opened her mouth to say hi, but the word died on her tongue as she turned and came face to face with his piercing blue eyes. No, blue was too dull a word to describe all the shades and flecks of colour she saw. Perhaps crystal or electric blue was more apt. Crystal Eyes smiled. "You here on your own?" This might have sounded creepy, but she was too bamboozled by the mystical colour of his eyes to do anything but nod. The bartender placed her cocktail down in front of her. "Here you are, love." Gabi dug into her jacket pocket to retrieve a $20 note she'd shoved there a couple of nights ago when someone had bought fairy floss. She hadn't had time to put it in the till before heading back to the big top to perform. "It's on me." Crystal Eyes pressed his card against the FBOS machine before she could hand over the money. "And I'll have another mid-strength, please." "You didn't have to do that," she blurted. "I can pay for myself." He smiled. "I'm sure you can. Don't worry. I'm not expecting anything in return." She forced a laugh as she lifted the drink to her mouth. "I should hope not." It tasted delicious. "But just in case, I'm paying for your beer." The barman chuckled as he put a frothy pint in front of the guy.